I have a story that I was considering telling you guys, but I wasn't sure. Should I tell it? It's like a month old. Yeah, I want to preface this by saying I hope that me telling my perspective or my side of this story doesn't come off as like disrespectful or like shading anyone. I'm not trying to shade this person. I just, again, want to share the experience that I had. And usually I don't share stories like this, but because this was literally someone that I met once, you know, I don't feel like I'm like betraying a friend or something. If that makes sense. And it's not someone that you guys could ever possibly know, so it's not like people could put it together. So again, it's more so just sharing an experience I went with. Basically, you know, this year I kind of realized like for someone in their 20s, I don't really have that much dating experience, especially outside of this scene. Like it's really hard as a streamer to meet people outside of streaming and gaming. With that train of thought, I realized that I hadn't really dated anybody who is culturally or ethnically similar to me. I wanted to try to get to know other people who are maybe similar to me in that regard, especially, as I said again, outside of the streaming space. And what I decided to do was join this dating app. It's called Baklava, and it's supposed to be for like Middle Eastern or Arab people. Which the name is so funny. And I made this little profile and I intentionally I chose photos that I hadn't posted elsewhere because in the past when I used the photos that I like on my Instagram or whatever, the apps will think that I'm catfishing myself and then I'll get reported and then I'll get like removed and then it's just a waste of my time anyways. So I tried using like random photos I had and whatever. And you know, you spend all night trying to think of like a bio that is both partially representative of who you are, but also partially interesting to someone who may not know you, but also isn't like cringy, but is maybe like a little witty, maybe like a little funny, but also doesn't make you sound stupid and also isn't too short, but also isn't too long. And it's just, you know? So whatever. Got it all set up. Sent it into the interwebs, and yeah. Afterwards, you know, you get to doing the thing, and the swipe, and the this, and the that. And within 3 days flat, I was already fed up with it. I was just so over how tiring it is to, like, for starters, judging someone's entire existence off of a few photos, their age, and bios that a lot of people don't even bother writing out. It's like, it makes me feel bad. It gives me like decision paralysis where I see something and I'm like, is it judgmental of me to not want to swipe yes? They didn't even write anything about themselves. So should I swipe no or should I swipe yes? But then am I being shallow by only looking at their photos because they didn't provide any more information for me to go off of? Like, you know, just all that. Okay, sorry, I'm not trying to stall, but I got something in my eye. Could you guys give me a second? And I know, for most people, they're probably like, you're overthinking it, but that's also just how my brain works. And my brain feels like a little bit overly analytical. And so when I think about it, I'm like, if I am reasonable with most profiles, then I'm going to be talking to 100 people a day. And if I'm really judgmental, then maybe it'll be filtered, but then maybe I'm passing up a lot of like genuinely nice or worthwhile people. I also really didn't like having another app that I needed to check every day because, you know, you got Discord, you got your text messages, you got your Kakao Talk for my friends. I have my WhatsApp for my family. I have Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, YouTube. It's just so much. Like, I don't want another other app. So I decided, hard life, huh? I know, I'm sorry, but I'm just being honest. I'm sorry if any of this sounds big-headed, being a bit candid with y'all. I decided I just didn't like the process of being, or experience of being on a dating app. Sheesh, hold up. I have 900 matches on Tinder. Can't imagine how busy it is as a hot girl. I'm not gonna lie, once I saw triple digit matches, I wanted to run away. Like, it felt frighteningly overwhelming to me. Frighteningly overwhelming. And I mean, I imagine that just kind of happens with dating apps because it makes you available to such a range of people. And I know, weird flex. But again, I think that's just how it is for like any girl on a dating app. Mind you, the photos I used, you could barely kind of tell it was me. Because again, I wanted to avoid getting banned and I wanted to avoid people being like, I know who you are, head ass. Before I deleted the dating app though, I remember that there was one profile that I felt stood out more than the others. There was this guy who was like really clean, fit. I think he was like around 29 or something. And I was like, a bit older than me. That's nice. He seemed really into like business and tech, which also suits me. Like, okay, that's old AF. No, it's not. Are you guys weird? So we had been chatting back and forth a little bit. Again, I'm checking this app like once or twice a day because it feels so overwhelming, but I'm conversing with him slightly. I message him and I'm like, hey, just being honest, I'm gonna delete this app, but you're probably the person that I found the most interesting. So if you'd like, here's my number, you can text me. He texts me. We start chatting back and forth a little. Okay. And then he invites me to dinner. And I'm like, you know what? Like, yeah, sure, I'll go. Because when you're interested in someone online, you don't ever really know how it's gonna be until you meet in person. And you see if you vibe. No, really, you see if you mesh or if your energies align or whatever else. So I'm like, yeah, why not? Like, let's meet in person. Fucking easy. Free dinner. Okay, here's the other thing. The dude invites me to Nobu. And for those that don't know, Nobu is like an expensive sushi place in LA. So I was like, sheesh, like, okay, sir. But you know, it's nice to feel like someone is perhaps trying to put their best foot forward, even if it's a little, to be fair, like, I could pay for them myself, but it's more so the thought that counts of like, oh, I would really like to take you out somewhere very nice. And I was like, all right, let's go. So we make plans for like 4 days out. He's like, yeah, I'll take you to dinner on this day, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, pretentious is the word you're, okay, nice, yeah. And I was like, okay, nice, I'll see you then. But then the days between us making plans and the actual day we're going on dinner, the dude is like texting me good morning and good night and stuff and like messaging me quite a bit throughout the day. And I was like, I don't really know you yet, you know? And I'm gonna be completely honest when I say it just kind of rubbed me the wrong way and it felt a little bit eager. And I know to some people, maybe that's normal, but I was like, for me, it's like we literally are random people that connected on this random app and I'm gonna meet you in person and that's when I am mentally planning on getting to know you. Anything beforehand is like, it feels unnecessary and a little bit inauthentic. Do you really message someone good morning like the second day you really know them? I don't know. Maybe that's just me, but I try to be like still nice and respectful and conversive. And he like asked me a bunch of stuff and we would text a little bit throughout those days. But it even got to a point where I kind of tried to drop the hint where I was like, if you keep asking me all these questions, we're gonna have nothing to talk about at dinner. And he was like, oh, don't worry, we'll have plenty to talk about. I was like, you're not picking up what I'm putting down. Jeez. But anyways, again, being candid with you guys, when date night rolls around, I'm not really feeling it. Because there's just something about like the push and pull when you're getting to know someone. And if someone is like pulling too much and it feels really eager, it's just kind of a turn off. So yeah, I was not feeling like going to dinner. Just being honest. I was like, it almost felt like a necessary social outing that you regret having planned. But I would have felt way too bad if I canceled. So, you know, like laced up my boots and I still went. Put on a nice little dress or whatever. Head out to Nobu and I'm like, geez, this is kind of nice. Okay. And the waiter shows me to the table, and he's sitting there, and he stands up and he greets me and like hugs me or whatever. And he's attractive, he's fit, he's got like a bit of a tan. So I'm like, oh my God, you go outside? Can't relate, but like, that's nice. And he seems like really nice and respectful. I sit down, we order like a ton of sushi, a ton of whatever, and we get to talking about our upbringings, where we grew up, our childhood, our family, our cultures, the languages we speak, religion, like everything. And he's like business entrepreneur type, and he's like telling me about his business dreams and how he really likes the idea of like a power couple. And I'm like, I get it, you like me. Kidding. But if someone's gonna say that, I'm like, okay. Okay. I see what you're saying. So we keep talking. I feel like this is unusual, but he's even talking about like dating expectations, like in a relationship. Like, what do you expect out of your partner and things like that? Like, we literally talked about everything, and it was going surprisingly well. Yeah, it was going surprisingly well. I liked a lot of the answers that he had for a lot of the things that we discussed. I thought he led a pretty cool and interesting life. I could see us getting along really well. It came to a point where I was like, wait, I was really like not feeling it, but I am pleasantly surprised and really, really glad that I came out to this date. And then we're an hour and a half into dinner, and he starts telling me about his ex-wife and 2 kids. We are 5 days into talking, an hour and a half into dinner, and he starts telling me about his ex-wife and 2 kids. There was this one fucking message that's just like, you're a mom now, Pog. My face is saying smile and nod. Really? What are they like? How old are they? And my brain is processing like, fucking error 404 does not compute. Oh, actually, it's processing like, how do I feel about dating someone with kids? Like, is that something I'm okay with? Is that something I'm ready for? And a baby mama? And I, like, my brain is fucking working overtime, and my face is like, you know, when I'm 6 hours deep into a convention taking photos. Fucking sheesh. And yeah, we kept talking about, he has 50% custody of his kids, by the way. So I'm like, I feel like at this point, you've told me like the inner workings of your entire business and your future plans to the point that you could hire me tomorrow and I would be employee of the month, dead ass. And you're just now mentioning the kids that you keep with you half the time? That's what I was a little bit surprised about. But yeah, we just kept talking. I think literally the last thing I wanted to be was judgmental. And I think that's a pretty good way to go about meeting new people, because even if things don't work out or you're not right for each other, being judgmental is kind of the worst way to go about it, and it's very like conflict oriented. I was just trying to like go along with it, see where it goes, see what happens. And then, you know, I pack my things and I go home. And when I get home, that's really when I unload with the roomies, and we start talking about it. And I realized that I think if I, like at this point in my life, if I really, really liked someone, I probably could be okay with them having a kid. 2 is a bit much, but you know, maybe that too, if I liked them enough. But I think what had really bothered me was the fact that it took him so long to mention it. Like several days of talking and like 2 hours into dinner, and then you mention it. I feel like that's the kind of thing that people usually say like right off the bat, or it's very easy to tell if someone has kids because they kind of become like your priority in life. Like I feel like you mention your kids before you mention your business endeavors. I basically thought about it and I was like, even if I was okay with this person having children, I didn't like the way that they went about telling me. And so I just don't think I'm going to pursue anything with them. And he texted me that evening and he's like, hey, like I had a really, really good time. I would love to take you out again. Let me know if you're interested. And I replied and I was like, hey, I'm sorry, but I think like you having 2 children, ex-wife, and this and that, it's probably a bit too much responsibility for me at this point in my life. And my friends kind of encouraged me to be a little bit upfront with him as well. I also would have really appreciated it if you had told me sooner. And he responds and he's like, that's totally understandable. I respect that. I hope we can be friends. But also, it's not like I was hiding them. Like, I have plenty of photos of them on my Instagram. And I was like, you never like gave me your Instagram. How am I supposed to know? And then I actually retroactively, I think his Instagram was linked on the dating app. So I retroactively went and looked at it. And it's like 40 photos of him alone in different places of the world. And then way further down is photos of like him and 2 little kids. But the captions don't even say they're his kids. And he looks quite young. So it looks like it could be his nieces or heck, even his siblings. And I'm like, you expected me to find your Instagram through your dating profile and scroll 50 photos down to know that you have kids? Like, that's on me? It was even weirder because like he talked about them like really nicely. Like he was like, yeah, they're great. I'm like, if they're so great, why didn't you say anything sooner? Or like have them in the photos of your dating profile or mention in your bio that you have 2 kids. And you know what? From a guy's perspective, like I totally get it. It's probably a little bit difficult. Like it makes your dating pool smaller to be very obviously or be very obvious about being a parent and having 2 children, but it just is a reality of your situation. So I feel like it's better to filter people out that maybe that doesn't work for than to try to like get them to like you and then drop the ball. I don't know. So yeah, when he like doubled down, he was like, but it's not like I hide them. I was like, have a good life. That's my story. I'm so curious what you guys think. I really hope that I didn't say this in a way that is like mean or shading towards him, because he was not mean whatsoever. It was just like my experience and the ways in which it made me feel a little bit uncomfortable. Was he older than you? Yeah, I think he was like 29 or something. I think he would have been a good stepmom. You know what? I'll be a good stepmom to someone if I want to. Damn, feels bad for single dads like myself. Why? I think single dads can still pull hella bitches. But I think it's more attractive to like see a guy who's really good with his kids and proud of his kids and like still has a life of his own and does a great job at managing both things, versus having this impression of someone being like a bachelor or whatever and then being told, oh no, wait, I also got 2 kids, by the way. Very different. Whereas the first version is like, if anything, it's attractive. Like you guys have probably seen or heard like girls, whenever they see their boyfriends like being really friendly or cute with kids or with animals even, it's like, it's very attractive. It's like your hormones come out and they're like, make child with this person. Same could go for single dads, but I feel like you kind of got to go about it the right way. 29 with 2 kids and an ex-wife, he speedrun life. He may also have wanted for you to get to know him and feel how you guys were vibing before mentioning something as off-putting as kids. Like you may have felt differently about being with him regardless of kids, but if you really liked him in person, as opposed to him dropping the kids convo through the app. Let me explain where you go wrong. I don't want to date a parent who thinks that their children are off-putting or thinks that they want to date someone who thinks that children are off-putting. If you got kids, you better love the fuck out of them and you better be with someone who doesn't find kids to be off-putting. So that's why your argument is just straight up invalid. Because even if you did mention to someone and they were put off, they're not the right person to date. It's that simple.